Hey, what's up everyone? It's me, your boy. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm doing a Hitfilm Express basics tutorial. Some of my friends are going into video editing, so I wanted to help them out, and hopefully I can help some of you out if you're trying to figure it out. These are all of your files that you've made or saved before, but we're just gonna click new. These are the settings I usually use when starting a new video. Kind of depends on what the clip is though. You want to try to match up the clip to this as best as possible. It'll ask you if you want to make the settings the same as the clip, which works just as well. So what you're going to want to do is click start editing. It'll bring you to the viewer, the editor, or the timeline. Import. If yours does not look the same as mine, let's say it looks like this. Yours might look like this, which is fine, but I prefer this to be bigger on my screen. So what I did for mine is I go to compositing, the media, I just close this a little bit. Then we got the effects, the timeline text, whatever you want. And then we got all this stuff. So one thing before we get started and import our footage is I like to do this, go to preview mode and click none. That gets rid of a lot of lag for me. I don't know if it will for you. And also, if it is a little laggy at first, you can go to playback resolution, switch it to quarter, fastest, and quarter. And then that will make it so the quality isn't as high. It'll be able to run a lot smoother. So we're going to import our footage, which you can do by clicking import or double clicking this area. And you can also import just regular media, or you can do all these things. Image sequence is like a bunch of images and it like compresses it into a video, which is really cool. But for now, we're just going to click import. I'm going to go to my videos or wherever your file is saved. I'm going to open this. All right. So as you can see here, I'm going to open this a little bit so you can see. We got all the file stuff right here. And then once I drag it onto the timeline, a lot of the time, it'll ask you if you want to make changes to the project to make it the same as the clip, which in this case, mine already is the same. This is the volume for this clip, and then this is the opacity. So you can make it fade in, fade out, which you can also do in the effects panel, which I'll show you the effects panel later. One other thing you could do is when you're dragging in your clips, is if you hold down Alt and drag it in video, it'll only bring in the video. Or if you drag in audio, it'll only bring in the audio. If this is too big for you, which if you're going to have multiple overlays and stuff, you can go to audio size and video size, which I usually like to keep it as medium because you can still see these bars. Click the timeline so it's highlighted, so it knows that's what you're working on. You can press spacebar to play. You can move around wherever you want. And if you want to make any changes to the clip, make sure you click it so it's highlighted. You can use the slice tool so it slices right where this is, or go back to selection tool. We can go here, click it, and there is actually a slice key, which is Control-Shift-D, and then that will cut it as just the same, which I like to use the thing. It's much faster. You want to get rid of this clip? One thing I've seen people do is click remove, and then you have this space here. But you can do ripple delete, which will just close it for you. But if you want to leave it open, you just click remove. You can slide the clips around just by clicking on them. And if you highlight more than one, you can move all of them. You can right click it. There's a speed duration, which makes the clip slower. You can do it to 25%. That makes it slower. You can do fit to frame. Let's say you had something and you imported it and it was like this. You can right click it, transform, fit to frame, and that'll make it like this. You can add motion blur if you want to. These, you can mess around with these, but these are mostly for layers. Like let's say I added something under here, then I did a blend option, color burn. It makes kind of a weird thing. I don't really know. I haven't messed around with that too much, but it could be cool. And if you want to add another layer, you just right click over here, insert track. You can rename it to like video, I don't know, memes. Same with audio, you can add another audio. The master changes all the audio at one time. which I don't really mess around with it. I just do it individually. But if you want to change only one audio all at once, you can go to the audio mixer, which I'm going to drag over here. It should be here already. I'm going to drag it more towards the media so it's easier to find. But we'll go to which one you want to mute or change, which is audio 1 right here. Audio 1. You can change the volume of it, or which side of the headphones you hear it from. In the viewer, you can zoom in and out. You can zoom in if you're working on something. That does not mean that if you zoom in like right here, it does not zoom in on the video. How you zoom in on the video, which I'll show you real quickly, is you cut out the part you want to be zoomed in, highlight it, make sure this part's over it, you highlight it, and then you grab these. You can mess with it how you want, or you can hold shift to keep it the same size, and then when you play it, it'll zoom in. Now the effects panel, it's going to be the same thing. You want to add the effect on, you cut it out, highlight it. You don't have to highlight it, it'll highlight by itself. And let's say we wanted to add a blur. You have all these effects you can choose from that come with the program. If I wanted to blur it, let's say you wanted to add some text over it, the blur might help you see it clearer. And then what you can do is go to Media, New Composite Shot, make some text here, go back to the editor, then you can drag the composite shot on top of it. One thing you can look up is fade. So you can fade in, fade out. Same with audio, you can fade in, fade out. If you wanted to do a transition, so you could do just a fade transition, or a whole ton of transitions you can do. There's a ton. There's like a push, which moves it to the right. Pretty sure it has some motion blur with it, which is really cool. Now let's say we got a green screen key or whatever, which yes, you can use green screens in Hitfilm Express. Now if you click this and go to controls, which is just by the media import, you can mess around with how the effects mess with the video. Let's just mess around with the blur instead. You can do heavy, medium, or subtle, which are just presets, or you can just mess around with it yourself. Same with any of these effects you can actually mess around with. Now exporting, you can go to in and out area, which is just where it starts to where it ends. So let's say you had a clip like kind of floating out here. It would end like right here. It would be done exporting. Or at least that's what happened to me if I'm understanding it correctly. So what we're going to do is when you go to export, you click content so it does everything in here. Go to export. Make sure it shows all the clips that you're going to be exporting right here. You can choose where it saves, which usually it'll just create a folder on the desktop. But if you want it to save somewhere else, you just click that, choose where you want it to save. You can also choose how you want it to be exported. So 1080p, 720p HD. It says Facebook, but it really doesn't matter. If you just want it 720p HD, it should be fine. But I'm going to choose YouTube 1080p HD. Then just click start exporting. Well guys, that's the end of this tutorial. I usually don't do stuff like this. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more tutorials. Be sure to subscribe if you're new, and if this helped you, leave a like. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.